for waiting. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Town of Montreat's Board of Adjustment to order today, Thursday, September 28th, 2023 at 5:05. Woo, okay. And we'll have a moment of silence for about 30 seconds. And I want to thank everybody for being here today, and those people that are on the streaming. We are streaming live, just to let everybody know. We also have a quorum. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we do have a quorum, and we can proceed with the meeting. The first order is to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to move variance request B, VA 2023-01, the variance request to come in front of special use permit 2023-01.
Yes, let's say, do I have a motion for this? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Opposed. So we will approve the agenda by moving the variance for Mr., I believe it's Mr. Hutchins up to this, before we do the special use permit. All right. So the agenda for tonight's meeting is approved, and we will move on. The next part is the, adoption of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for June 22nd, 2023?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So the minutes have been approved as written. All right, so starting out this evening, we need to talk about the approval for written order for VA 2022-03. This is a variance request to section 809 of the Montreat zoning ordinance to allow an 18.36 square foot wayfinding sign on the eastern side of Assembly Drive, approximately halfway between Lookout Road and Community Center Circle, on the lot described as PIN number 071096841400000, submitted by the Tanner Pickett. This variance by Tanner Pickett, by the Tanner Pickett.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, it depends. He like the.
They were the Tanner Pickett, not to be confused. This variance request was heard at the June 22nd, 2023 meeting, where it was approved with a 5-0 vote. State statute requires approval of the formal written order by vote following approval of the variance request. Do I have a motion to approve the written order?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried. All right, so we're moving on then to, the evidentiary hearing for VA-2023-01. This is a matter to consider a variance request submitted by Todd Hutchinson, who is under contract to purchase the subject property for the lot described as PIN 072015687600000, located about 800 feet south of the intersection of Appalachian Way and Oklahoma Road, to the following Montreat zoning ordinance sections for a proposed single-family dwelling. Number 1, section 501.5 to reduce the front setback requirement from 30 feet to 10 feet. Number 2, section 501.81 to reduce the side setback requirement from 15 feet to 5 feet on the north side of the subject property and to 15 feet on the south side of the subject property. And number 3, section 617 to allow the driveway connection for the proposed dwelling on the subject property to connect to Oklahoma Road outside of the frontage area described in this section of the MZO. The suggested motion is to grant with considerations or deny variance requests for the lot described. Oh, I just read that, sorry. I'm so sorry, pardon me. The next part is all persons who wish to speak and testify in this case, please come forward and place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. And Angie, our town clerk, will do the swearing in. What was that second?
So if you are planning to speak on the variance request, you need to come this way. So you can put your hand on the Bible or raise your left hand.
Finger works. Switch. Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Please state your name clearly when you come up to talk. And your address.
You guys can go ahead and take a seat.
All right, yeah. All right. I would also like to ask any board members if you have any information or special knowledge about the case.
Eleanor, I've
sorry.
got a list of questions for conflicts of interest.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you like to take over then?
I would like to, please.
Be my guest.
Okay, so I'm going to go through our list of questions. Any board members who were here at our last meeting know I've got a whole list to go through. Okay, have any of you discussed with any other member of the Board of Adjustment the property, the variance, the applicant, any of the information? No, I don't count.
Okay.
I know.
Clarification?
No, we did not have any ex parte communication.
No.
Okay. Do any of you have a fixed opinion prior to hearing the variance that is not susceptible to change?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Have any of you had any ex parte communications with any party to this matter? This can be in writing or orally.
No.
No? Okay. All right. Do any of you have any close familial relationships with the applicant or opposition?
No.
Okay. Do any of you have any business relationships with the applicant or opposition?
No.
No.
Okay. Do any of you have any financial interest in the outcome of the variance application?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, we'll open the evidentiary hearing on this matter and ask for testimony from the zoning administration. Take it away, Kayla.
No, it's not. It just wasn't your mouth.
Thank you. Okay. All right, for the record, my name is Kayla DiChristina, and I'm the zoning administrator for the town of Montreat. I ask the board's permission to enter into the evidentiary record my staff report, presentation, and exhibits along with the applicant's materials. The other piece I'd like to ask the board about entering into the record is the letter that we received and the email we received. Now, if you'll recall from the email correspondence, these letters are not considered sworn testimony, so it can't be cross-examined. So I will leave it up to you whether you want to enter it into the record.
Has everyone read the letter?
Yeah.
It's-
Is there a representative of any of the Thomas?
Okay. I did
Is
not
there
see
a
any-
representative of the Thomas family here?
And
So,
She did sign, okay, you just.
yeah, so she'll, yeah.
okay.
We do have a representative of the letter that we received
Okay. What about
here.
the email? I have not seen
No.
the email.
No, she's not here.
Okay. No. All right.
So do you want to enter the letter in and not the email?
Sure.
Okay, all right. So letter, not email. And of course, my staff materials and the applicants.
Yes.
Yeah, and all that jazz, thank you. Okay, all right, now we'll get started. Okay, VA 2023-01 is a variance request for PIN number 07201-568-760000. Next slide, please. The property has no E911 address because it's a vacant lot. It's located between Arkansas Trail and Oklahoma Road, approximately 300 feet south of the intersection of Appalachian Way and Oklahoma Road. The owner is the trustees of Providence Church. The applicant is currently under contract to purchase the property, and a copy of the executed offer to purchase is in your packets. The property's 0.2 acres, and it's currently zoned, is currently zoned R1. It's vacant and wooded. Next slide, please. So this is an aerial of the subject property. It's outlined in red. Again, the subject property is located between Arkansas Trail and Oklahoma Road, approximately 300 feet south of the intersection of Appalachian Way and Oklahoma Road. Next slide, please. This map shows the zoning of the subject property and surrounding area. Again, the subject property is zoned R1 and it's currently vacant and wooded. To the north is another property zoned R1 with an existing single-family dwelling. To the south is a property zoned R1 containing a driveway. To the east is Oklahoma Road with properties zoned R1 containing single-family dwellings beyond. To the west is Arkansas Trail with properties zoned institutional residential with single-family dwellings beyond. Next slide, please. So as I said, the applicant is under contract to purchase the subject property. Todd Hutchings is here if the board has any questions for him. Let's see. So the applicant proposes to construct a single-family dwelling on the subject property, and in order to do that, the applicant requests the following variance from the Board of Adjustment. I'll just go ahead and read them off for the record. Variance to section 501.5 of the zoning ordinance to reduce the front setback requirement from 30 feet to 10 feet on the Oklahoma Road side of the property. A variance to section 501.81 of the zoning ordinance to reduce the side setback requirement from 15 feet to 5 feet on the north side of the subject property and to 10 feet on the south side of the subject property. A variance to section 617 of the zoning ordinance to allow the driveway connection for the proposed dwelling on the subject property to connect to Oklahoma Road outside of the frontage area described in this section of the zoning ordinance. Next slide, please. All right, I'm going to go into the staff findings now. For use in zoning, as I said, the property zoned R1. Single-family dwellings are permitted by right in this zoning district. For setbacks and lot size, the subject property is considered a double frontage lot. It has frontage on both Oklahoma Road and Arkansas Trail. So the proposed single-family dwelling has to comply with the required setbacks for a dwelling in the R1 zoning district on a double frontage lot. There's a chart on the slide before you that shows the required setbacks and what the requested variances are. The applicant intends to meet the 30-foot setback requirement from Arkansas Trail, which is on the western side of the property. Next slide, please. So this is the applicant's site plan. I've printed out some copies for y'all because it is a little bit hard to see on there, but you can see the requested variances to the north, south, and east. Next slide, please. All right, so I want to talk about this section. In addition to the setback variances, which you all have had cases about setback variances before, this is a little bit of a different one. So section 617 of the zoning ordinance requires driveway connections to public roads to be made within the lines extending perpendicular from the existing roadway to each side of the property line at the corners closest to the street. So essentially what that's saying is when you construct a driveway, it needs to connect to the public street in front of your property. That's what it's saying. So those hatched boxes up there, those show the areas that the ordinance wants you, that's the area the ordinance wants you to connect your driveway to the road in. And I've got printed copies of those in front of you too, because it's a little hard to see up there. So that section goes on to say that if you can't do that, you need a variance. If you can't connect your driveway in front of your property, you need a variance. And that specific section of the zoning ordinance lists excessively steep gradient, verbatim, as a justifiable existing condition or factor that can pose a difficulty or preclude a driveway from being connected to the public street in this area. So as part of the applicant's request, they are requesting a variance to section 617 to allow that red portion of the driveway to be constructed in front of the adjoining property and connect to Oklahoma Road in that location. And just to give you guys, some spatial idea of where that would be, there's a portion of a driveway on the adjacent property. Next slide, please. Okay. So this property is subject to the Hillside Development Ordinance as it contains slopes greater than 40%. This isn't an ordinance that y'all have worked with a lot, and conformance to this ordinance is typically determined at the time of development permitting. But since the slope conditions on the property are an important factor, I wanted to review how this property related to the ordinance and go over the slope conditions with you. So the slope on the subject property is 50.7%. The applicant had a geotechnical assessment done on the property, and that is in your packets. That's where that slope came from. The area surrounding the subject property shows changes in slope. So on that map that's on the screen, those orange lines are contour lines. So that shows the elevation of the land within, I think it's 5 feet. I think those contour lines are 5 feet. As the contour lines get closer together, you have more severe changes in slope. So a flat piece of land, like you can see towards Mississippi, the contour lines are, and I use flat, very sparingly because nothing's really flat in Montreat, but the contour lines are farther apart. So that indicates a more gradual change in slope. So you can see that the property's found midway in the area between Arkansas Trail and Oklahoma Road near the subject property, which is outlined in red, that you can see some sharper changes in slope than the areas directly to the north. Next slide, please. So this is a zoomed in version of that map. It's a little difficult to see, but generally the subject property slopes east from Oklahoma Road down to the west towards Arkansas Trail, with the sharpest decrease in slope occurring in the southwest quadrant of the property. So you can see that that's where the contour lines are the closest. All right, next slide, please. So this slide shows the purpose of the Hillside Development Ordinance. I know this board doesn't work with the Hillside Development Ordinance too often, so I wanted to give you guys, just a little bit of context for why these regulations are in place. And this purpose is in your packet, so you should have it in front of you. Impacts, so properties that are subject to this ordinance have a limit on the amount of area that they can grade, and they have a limit on the amount of impervious surface that can be placed on a lot. So as your lot gets steeper, your building envelope gets smaller. This ordinance does allow an administrative reduction of the front setback, which the applicant did attempt to obtain. He came to me and the town manager at the time and asked to reduce the front setback within the confines of the ordinance, but after looking at the property, the town manager and I felt that a quasi-judicial examination, so a variance, was more appropriate than an administrative level reduction. Next slide, please. And that letter that he wrote about the administrative reduction and the town's response is in your packets as well.
I'm sorry, but I don't have a packet.
I know, I didn't print them.
Oh, the packet. Oh,
Yeah.
The one that you said. Okay. Right.
Yeah, the digital packets.
The
yeah.
digital packet.
Digital
Okay.
packet. Yep, that's right.
151 pages.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
That's
okay.
right.
Sorry.
That's right. Okay, so on the screen before you are the 6 findings of fact that the Board of Adjustment must make in granting a variance. I do want to note that the board can prescribe appropriate conditions and safeguards in conformity with this ordinance, along with their approval. And the other thing I just want to address to the board is please use the template template language that's found at the end of the staff report when you make your decision. It helps in drafting the written orders and the minutes, so we have a clear record. The motion to make the 6 findings can be done as one, but just make sure that you're stating the finding and the reason behind each one. All right, next slide, please. Okay, all right, y'all have any questions?
Any questions from the board? No? All right.
Okay, won't some of this property encroach upon the town's closed right away? Have I got the wording right?
The town, what?
We're not dealing with a right-of-way closure here. Nope, we're not dealing with, you may be thinking about the commissioners meeting. No, we're not dealing with any closed right-of-way here.
Okay.
But if it's not open, then
No, it's open.
it's open.
It is open.
Okay.
This is, yeah.
Yeah,
This is open.
Oklahoma
Oklahoma is
Road
open.
and Arkansas Trail are fully opened rights-of-way with
Right.
roads in them.
All right. Any other questions for the zoning administrator? Does the applicant want to provide testimony to the board? Please come up. Please, I'm not sure, I can't hear you.
I think it's on, yes.
Pull it up if you
You
want.
can pull it up, yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Todd Hutchings, obviously the applicant of the variance request. First of all, I want to thank you for your time tonight. My request is one that we need to be able to take an unusable lot and turn it into something that we can turn into our primary residency. As you can tell from the testimony that you got from the zoning administrator, it's a steep lot. So we have challenges in itself. If you looked at the geotechnical engineering, you'll also see there's only a small portion of the lot that's actually usable space. So because of that, we're really restricted between the hillside development and the size of the stability of the slope. We can't build down the slope. There's probably about 50% of that property that is unbuildable per the geotechnical engineer. So we're really restricted in what we can do, and that's the reasoning for all the requests. So, sorry for my voice. I've had some allergy stuff going on.
Okay, so that's all the testimony you want to give today?
I think everything, if there's any questions you have from the packet, hopefully you've had an opportunity to read the packet. We put in there, I can go through several of those things if you haven't had a chance to look at it with the geotechnical engineer.
Does anybody on the board have any questions for him, the applicant? Nobody? All right. Are there any members of the public that want to provide testimony as proponents of this application to the board? Proponents. No? No proponents, okay. Are there any members of the public that want to provide testimony as opponents? Go ahead and state your name, please.
My name is Samantha Morgan of 375 Arkansas Trail. I'm the niece of Sam Thomas, who sent you all a letter. I live locally, and so he asked for me to come and represent the family. And so I just want to officially present the letter that you received and object to the variance for the north side of the property.
Can you pull the mic down so
Yeah,
we can hear you
so
a little
can-
clearer?
sorry.
There we go.
Your voice is very quiet. And mine's not, unfortunately.
But yes, like I said, we, as a family, would just like to oppose the variance request for the north side of the property. I think it explains a little bit more in the letter that you received. We've owned the property for over 100 years, and my family's actually tried to purchase the property several times over the last 60 years to be able to expand. And so we're worried about the property line going from 15 feet to 5. We feel that the town made that decision in the beginning for a reason and would just like to hold that. Yeah.
Does anybody from the board have any questions? Or
I have a
David.
question or two, but I don't know if you'll be able to answer them.
I can try.
Your house really fronts Arkansas.
Yes.
Okay. How close is the 5-foot setback to any property, the building itself? Because it looks like it's all woods.
I'm not sure exactly. There is a portion of our house that it's almost like catty corner a little bit. Specifically like the back, if you're facing the property,
Right.
the back right corner, that I know that I was told they're a little bit concerned about being closer.
But you don't know what the proximity is?
I don't know
distance or
the
anything like that?
exact,
Yeah.
no. Mm-mm.
Because that would help if we had that on this site
Gotcha.
plan.
Okay.
do you access the property from Oklahoma or Arkansas?
Arkansas.
Okay, so there's no driveway from
No.
up where you are, okay.
Is there a driveway on Arkansas?
Yes.
Because I rode up there yesterday trying to find one, didn't.
Okay.
That's why I was asking.
It's, I mean, if you go straight down Arkansas from Appalachian Way,
Right.
you'll almost go right up it. You kind of have to go around
Okay, okay.
a little bit.
So if you're looking at your house
Mhm.
and it fronts on Arkansas,
Mhm.
is this property to your right
Yes.
or left?
Right.
Right, as you're looking at your house from Arkansas, it's
Mhm.
to the right.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think so. Let's try it. No, you're not.
Okay. I'm looking at the aerial view. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot between the house, a house, and the proposed lot that's, is that not right?
It is, but that's not theirs. This is their house.
All right, right, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So there's actually a lot that doesn't belong to y'all between them. Is that right?
No.
No,
What-
that's their property.
That's
All right, so you've got two lots there.
Look at the screen.
Yep.
It's the lot directly on top. So directly to the north is the Thomas family lot.
Okay, that this is much better picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the one that I'm looking at, you can hardly see it. I got it, thank you.
Any other questions? No other questions, all right. Yep, go ahead, David.
Not a question for you, Todd. You got a minute? I can ask you a question, please, sir. And I don't, there's probably one in the packet, but I didn't get a floor plan or anything like that, so I don't know where this 5-foot encroaches. Is that actually roof line? Is that walkway? Is
Sure.
that
So,
Possibly
yeah, it looks like you have
Looking
the
at
site.
this right here.
If you're looking at the site plan right
I'm looking
there.
at it right here, but I can't tell you what that brown area is.
Sure,
Is that roof?
Yeah, let me describe it a little bit for
Okay.
you. So the gray area is ground level,
Right.
okay? So that area that you see that's brown, that's the second level with an overhang, a cantilever, if you will.
Gotcha. Okay.
So even though the request is, 5 feet for that side, it is 8 feet that would be at the ground level,
Right.
and the 3 at the top. And then you'll see the same on the other side. For the other side of the neighbor, it's obviously 3 and 2 in that case. And a lot of their side of the property, the reason why it's 5 over on there is because of the way the slope runs. To have an accessible driveway that's not this is obviously going to take a longer runway, if you will. So that's the idea of moving it to that side so we can get a reasonable driveway that's not 25% degree, right? We need to get somewhere down in the neighborhood between 10 and 15 at best.
It's not a ski slope.
Exactly, exactly. The other commentary I'll make, if it's okay with the board, is we want to do what's right for the neighborhood. We want a house that blends in. We don't want a massive structure that sticks out like a sore thumb for any neighbor. That's not what we want to do. We're all about, we want to make sure that we have proper stormwater management. That's a number one thing for us, making sure there's tiering and whatever other things we need to do to make sure there's not stormwater runoff. And then, of course, we want to make sure that there's proper planning and landscape plan that can hide as much of it as possible. And this is a wooded lot, I get it. You know, all of a sudden, you know, for however many years, it's been a great barrier to the rest of the world. And now somebody's wanting to come and build. I completely understand that. And we want to do our best, my wife and I, to make sure it's harmonious with the neighborhood and the neighbors. So that's our objective. The house as well, the other reason for pulling it forward, not only because of the slope considerations and the inability to build down the slope,
Right.
will also pull the house further away from their home as an
Right.
example, because it's north of the slope. And as you heard her say, I think her direction of view is not up the slope. Their primary view is down the valley. So it's, the house will be up here compared to right here beside them. So the distance, and I think if you read, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I did do some rough estimates on my corner to their corner and what that estimate would look like. I forget the exact number. I could pull it up, but it is in that packet. So that is the objective, is we don't want to obscure their view. We don't want them to feel like we're there, but at the same time, we've obviously got, you know, slope restrictions and buildability, you know, construction issues that we have to think about to make it feasible.
How many levels is this house?
So I think the site plan is in there, but it's tiered is probably the best way I can describe it. The upper section, if you look at the site plan, is going to be a 2-level there. Most of the house is 2-level. The only place it's going to be 3 is on one side, so we can get the extra bedroom. Majority of it's just 2. If you look at the site plan, it almost blends down with the slope in terms of tiering versus being a full 3-story massive structure that just sticks out like a sore thumb.
Was there any attempt to have a driveway come in from the Arkansas side?
Impossible, yes.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, if you come down Arkansas, you'll see that there's a straight, right, about the height of that, you sounds like you know it, the height of that
I was
door.
there yesterday.
Right, she knows it, that's a straight drop off.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
yes.
I didn't go see that side of it, so.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to do that, but obviously we couldn't. And the lot really is, you know, anyways.
All right.
So hopefully that gives you a little bit better context. And by all means, we want to respect your space. And I have my neighbor here on the other side as well that I think is going to talk. But you know, we want to make sure that whatever we do feels right to the neighborhood. This is a place we want to call home. I'm going to be retiring from Atlanta and coming up here, and this is going to be our home if we are fortunate enough to get the variance and move forward.
What would happen if you don't get the variance?
I think, to be quite honest with you, I think the contract might not go through because the lot flat out isn't buildable. Right. No, it's unusable without this.
So is
And
that a contingency on your contract to buy the lot?
I'm in the due diligence period, so it can be
Sure.
for whatever I need it for. But yeah, right now, I mean, without this, the lot, from everything I've done, all the engineering that we put into it, it's unusable space, which I don't think is in the spirit of any R1 zoning. The spirit of any R1 zoning is to be able to have an individual be able to put something of, you know, residency on it. And without this, given the 50% slope,
What's the square footage, heated square footage of the house?
haven't finalized it. I think the numbers in there, I think the ground floor is 1,600. Basically, just to kind of put in perspective, we're trying to do 3 to 4 bedrooms with it, is what we're ultimately trying to do.
So like 1,700.
Total
No.
square footage?
Total square footage would
No,
be
no,
closer
it'd have to
to
be more than that. It's probably more than
Closer to-
2,500 or
to 3.
2,500.
Okay.
25 to 3.
That's right. But
Are
we
you-
haven't finalized plans.
Are you a builder or,
No.
I mean, as by profession, you're not an engineer or a builder?
Well,
or
so I have had enough experience around it, but by profession, I'm a CPA.
You're a CPA, okay. All right. There any other questions for the applicant? Do you have any questions for the applicant? No. Okay, does anybody?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Neighbor want to talk?
Yes, I believe it's you. Yes.
Hello, I'm Kathy Barkley. I live on the other side, 367 Oklahoma. So we have the lot and then our house.
Wait a minute, can you tell me where, are
Where is
you on
that?
the south side, the empty
Yeah.
lot?
Yep.
Okay, so you're the empty lot south
Right.
of,
And
okay.
pretty much we use the lot for our driveway. Because,
Okay, so you own that lot and then the house lot next to that.
yes,
Okay.
right. So my concern would be because of the topography of the land and the drop off, they said it better in some of the wording, but, just that the drainage issues would be hard.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
Angela? Okay, sorry,
I feel
yeah.
like my voice is loud. Yeah, just that drainage issues and we, just having washout, there's a big, silver sewer water thing that comes out below that area. It's a little closer to our property, but, yeah, so that would be our.
So your concerns are there will be excessive runoff from
Right,
this
we're
construction?
just, right, concerned about the runoff and what it would do to, the land
Okay.
around.
All right,
Because right now, yeah, the way the land is where we pull in and do our little, get to the house.
Can you get closer to the mic, please?
sorry. Okay.
The way the driveway goes, it goes all the way to the right and then curves around so that we can get to the house. And then right after that little landing, it just, the land goes down. And when it rains a lot, we're like losing part of our pad. So, we probably have to, build a retaining wall or, we'll have to do that. And, but anyway, so that was just the concern that it would create more runoff.
All right.
Just drainage. but-
Question. You
Yeah.
haven't had any engineering studies, though, that confirm that?
No, definitely
Okay.
have had no studies.
Okay.
Yes.
Kayla?
So the applicant, if you were to grant the variance and they were to seek development approvals, would have to comply with the stormwater management ordinance, which requires that developments maintain their stormwater on their site. So rain gardens, vegetated swales, something so that it's not just spilling over. So, well, that's erosion and sediment control during construction, which they will also have to do. But stormwater management, as far as not negatively impacting the lots around them. They would not get development approval unless they showed compliance with that ordinance.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? No? With the zoning, thank you very much for your testimony. Kayla, would you like to provide a closing statement?
The only thing that I would add is that just to remember the template language, the 6 findings of fact, and that if you would like to prescribe appropriate conditions and safeguards in conformity with the ordinance, you are welcome to do that.
There's 3 parts to this variance. Do we decide on them each separately, or? There's the driveway, then there's the front setback, then there's the side
Let's
setback.
do them one by one. It's going to be a little longer, but then at least we're clear for the record.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll take them piece by piece, like I have it, in the 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Would the applicant like to provide a closing statement?
Yeah, once again, I'd like to thank you for your time. As you go through each piece, if there's any feedback that you have where you think that maybe there's another opportunity, I would love that opportunity to hear it.
Would any of the opponents like to provide a closing statement? No? Okay. All right, unless there's any additional questions from the board, no, then I declare the evidentiary hearing closed and the board will begin deliberations on the variance application. If you don't have, for those who don't have the variance application in front of them, there are six elements of finding. And if any one of those we find not applicable, we must turn down the variance. So all 6 of these must be answered and accepted by the board. Everybody understand? So the first question.
And that's, Eleanor, for each piece of the
Okay,
variance.
so-
Yeah. So you can
So first of all-
consider each piece. So what Angie and I would ask, just for the record, to consider each piece separately. So the 1, the 2, the 3, and each of those has to meet the 6 findings of
And
fact.
the first one is the driveway?
I mean, you could,
No, which one is the first one?
First one's front setback.
Front
yeah,
setback.
the front
Okay.
setback.
So we'll do it in order as written. So looking at the 6 elements for the front. Basically, it says unnecessary hardship would result on the strict application of the ordinance. Does anybody have any feelings on that? For or against? All right. Kayla, so do I need to, I'm sorry, a little bit of housekeeping here. Do I need to go ahead and give the statement for each one of these?
Yeah, so in your discussion, you guys want to talk about each 6 of them. When you make your motion to grant with conditions, or deny, you can either make it as one motion if you have clearly discussed the 6 findings of fact, or you can make the motion and say something like, I move that the board find hardship, blah, 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 because XYZ, and then do the next one. So it's really how you guys want to do it. If it's in the minutes that we can pull out the evidence that you guys used to find each of the 6, that's fine. Or you guys can clearly state it in the motion. It's up to you how you guys want to do it.
Well, just by looking at all these, to me, the easiest thing to do is look at the last element. It says the variance is not a request. It's not a request to permit a use of land, building, or structure which is not permitted in the applicable zoning district. He's obviously building a house. It's an R1. He meets that criteria. Everyone in agreement on that?
Yes.
All right. I think of all of these variances, the one that bothers me the most, and I'll just talk, and this is part of our discussion, is that the variance requested is the minimum variance that will make possible the requested use of the land, building, or structure. So minimum variance, we've got an issue. Well, now we're talking about the setback, the 10-foot setback instead of a 30-foot setback. That's what we're talking about. My concern in general with this house is you're trying to put a 3,000 square foot house on a very small buildable space. And is that the best use, or is that the best layout for a piece of land that is that limited? And I'll just give you an example. I understand the reasoning to do a step down, not to build a tower. Cheshire Villages has, if anybody's been over to Cheshire Village, you see lots there, and they're basically, you walk into the top and it's almost like an elevator tower. But that's how they built on that lot. It's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but it's possible. So the question for the board is, could you have used a smaller footprint? Could you do a smaller house that would not encroach upon the the setbacks in essence. And that is my concern. Does anyone have anything to add to that?
I tend to agree with that. I like the house. I like what you're trying to do. I like the effort that you're trying to put into it to make this work. And it just might not, that house just might not work on this lot. You might have to come up with some cuts that you didn't want to make in the beginning. It's just kind of my thought.
Marty or David? Marty.
We're still talking about the front setback.
We are talking about the front setback, but in general, I kind of also applies to the side setback as well, the comment that I made, but we're going to talk about the front.
I understand. Let's stay focused. though.
Stay on the
Let's-
focus on front,
On the
yes.
front setback. And front setback is what we're talking about.
Yes,
You're 10 feet off of the buildable lot size. You're actually almost 20, you're 25 feet and change off of the road. Okay. And if you've been up there, that's, I don't know what that drop off is, but it's pretty extreme. And the closest point to the road is the driveway. Is that, Todd, is that a open garage or is it closed? Sorry.
It's closed garage.
Okay, so it'll be like a structure.
Yes.
You'll have windows on the side.
Yes.
It's a side load,
Yes.
obviously.
And if I may, I would like to also make a comment, if that's okay.
sure.
The commentary about, as you're looking at the distance, if you were to stick with the normal, because of the steep drop off
Right.
and go with the normal, even regardless of size home, you can't do it because your slope of your driveway would be over 25 degrees, which is, I mean,
So
extreme.
is the driveway what is causing the need for the front variance?
That is correct.
Okay.
The driveway and the accessibility of the home, regardless of the size of the home. You can't, I'm not gonna say impossible, because anything's possible, right? But I don't know anybody in their reasonable mind or from a safety perspective would want a driveway greater than even 15 to 20 plus. And you're talking 25, because that drop off is significant at the 30-foot setback. So regardless of size of home, that's a consideration.
Right.
Todd, while you're
Yes,
up
ma'am.
there,
Yes, ma'am.
when did you buy this property?
He has not.
I'm under
Yes,
contract.
You're under
I'm under
contract.
contract.
Okay.
They were not, I was supposed to close. They were kind enough to extend me another 90 days so we could go through this process. And
Okay, so what you're doing right now almost is your due diligence to find out what needs to happen with a lot like that.
we want the lot.
Yeah,
If we can't get the variance, I don't know what anybody could do with the lot. That's where we
Yeah.
are right now.
yeah.
And, obviously as a property owner, we want to have the luxury any other property owner has to put any home they can from a design and make it their primary residence, which is what we're trying to attempt.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Again, we're still talking about the variance from the front variance.
This is from a letter from the construction company under the current regulations. I want to be sure I'm reading the right thing. We could not begin construction until the approval of a 10-foot front setback is in place. Without this, it would be impractical to connect a driveway to Oklahoma Road down to the required elevation for the home entry. In addition, it would be restricted to a home with only 40 foot in width. To have a home of reasonable size to accommodate your needs, you would need to build, it just basically says we can't do that. This is for the safety of the driveway and the safety of the home.
All right, well. Any other discussion about this part of the variance, the setback? Do we need to vote on that now then?
a motion.
I think in answer to this question, is it the minimal variance necessary? I think it is. It is the minimal.
Okay. Does anybody else have any feeling about that? All right, then, talking about the first variance, which is the setback to 10 feet, we will be voting on whether we will allow that or not. That's,
Yes, but you guys still have A, B, C, and D to discuss as well.
oh, I'm sorry, yep. The first part says, an unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance. And it goes on further to say, it shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in absence of the variance, no reasonable use could be made of the property. So that's what you were talking about.
Right, and the second one about the conditions are peculiar to that property. And that's true. The slope makes it a lot less buildable. There's less buildable space on this lot.
Mhm.
And so I think we have to take that into consideration because the ordinance does allow for changes to be made if the conditions are peculiar to the property and it doesn't result from actions that the applicant has taken.
Which would be number C, the hardship did not result from the actions taken by the applicant or the property owner.
Mhm.
All right. And then the D, which is the variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. And again, what you said is, in order for it to be safe, the driveway
Yeah,
must push it.
yeah, safe and buildable.
Mhm. All right, so does anybody have any other discussion about this particular part of the variance? Then we'll go ahead and put to a vote whether to allow the setback, the front setback to be 10 feet. May I have a vote on that, please? I'm sorry, a motion to, a motion to,
I make a motion that
Thank
we allow the setback from 30 feet to 10 feet.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So that part of the variance has been
Agreed.
agreed upon. I'm sorry.
Oh,
You
well.
made a motion?
Second.
Thank you.
Second from Laurie. Excuse me. Sorry, this is throwing us a little bit for a loop. Huh? Yes. The second part of this variance is the 5 foot on the north side, the request to go from 15 feet to 5 feet on the north side. And again, we'll go through all of the different elements. One, again, it's number F is you're not requesting a different type of building, so that's met. Again, the variance requested is the minimum variance that will make possible the requested use of the land, building, or structure. That, again, is my concern. I would just say, again, a house of that size, by making it that size, you are having to spread out to the edges and go over the edge of what the side setback is. I understand that the corner is unbuildable down towards the back, and that's why you would like to push it back up to the corner. The question is that the structure that could be built there, or could something less, for lack of a better word, bulky, be done? Does anyone have any feeling on that, on the board?
I think the neighbors do.
Yes, well, the neighbors are concerned about how close it is.
That's right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Martha, do you have any feeling one way or the other?
Well, I would again just ask the applicant, is that the minimum variance possible?
It is, and once again, if you review the geotechnical engineering report, I would love to stay within the boundaries and build what we need for our family. The limitation with that is I have to go down slope. And I think if you read the geotechnical engineer commentary as well as the builder's commentary, that becomes unbuildable down there. So the whole dynamics of construction completely change, and in some cases are going to be unfeasible to even build down there based on the slope analysis. So because of that, this is the only option we have. We would love to stay within those boundaries and build down. We just can't. So therefore, we're trying to do the bare minimum to do the sides. That's why we introduced elements like the cantilevering, right? So it didn't feel like it's encroaching the space as much. Same with the north side being 10, going from 15 to 5. A lot of that is being driven from the top section to be able to have room to bring the driveway in, to have enough runway. I think I mentioned that earlier.
So you're saying the driveway is pushing the whole house over to the north?
That is correct. That is correct. That is correct. What's been presented to you is not the final design. It's based on the needs that are being driven, especially on the north end, are being driven more than the other side. The baseline home, and this was another design example that we had, where after the 30-foot setback, where that upper section to basically get the driveway in, from there down, not need necessarily the full 10, and not need the full 5. I'm trying to say it, the 10, so there'd be 5, but bring it into a 10-foot variance lower down. So it can almost be staggered, if you will. So 5 setback at the top section, or for the 20-foot width to push back for the driveway, and then the rest of the house could go back to a 10-foot variance instead of a 5-foot variance. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to describe?
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? But when I think when Kayla and I spoke, she said, well, just go ahead and do the whole thing, and because it's just, rather than having 2 different sets of variances, it's easier this way. So the ultimate build objective is from the 30-foot setback point, I guess it is, the 20 feet, is not to use 10 feet, or 5, go as close as 5 feet, but just go to 10, just like on the other side does. That's the building objective on the design.
I understand what you're saying. However, if we go ahead and vote to give you this variance, you could do that. I mean, there's,
Understood.
it's.
If you guys wanted to specify how the reduction would occur, you could.
I don't think we're equipped to do that.
How far off is the downstairs outside wall compared to the upstairs wall? Because the cantilever is going to hang over that additional 3 feet. That's where you're getting it.
Right.
I have a sense that what you're building is something that's going to look like this. In other words, downstairs will be here, but upstairs you'll have a roof line that extends a little bit because you're making that bedroom space, I think was your point. And so that's where the rub is. That's actually upstairs, but your wall for your
The ground level
will be
correct.
within 10.
Correct.
Or,
And really, like on the, get my bearings straight, so I apologize. On the south side, the wall, the setback between the property line and the downstairs wall is going to be, do the math real quick, 12 feet? No, 13 feet. Okay, so really you're talking about a 2-foot variance adjustment on the bottom level, and then another 3 on top.
right.
So
The roof lines adds to that.
can I clarify 2 points?
Please.
When you think about the setback, it's almost like it goes all the way up.
Like a plane.
Yeah.
So,
Overhangs are considered part.
yeah, you can't go beyond the
You can't
setback.
do a mushroom.
Right, yeah, you can't make a mushroom cloud, so that's, it's got to go all the way up.
Okay.
And I want to talk about the roof overhang. I'm trying to find where it is in the ordinance. The roof is allowed to extend a certain distance into the setback. Yeah. The zoning ordinance defines a setback line as a line establishing the minimum allowable distance between an applicable property line and the nearest portion of any principal or accessory building, excluding the outermost 4 feet of any attached steps, roof, gutters, or similar fixtures.
Okay.
So you've got a 4 feet buffer.
Yeah,
play
I mean,
area.
they wouldn't be allowed to build their roof over their neighbor's property, but that 4 feet isn't essentially counted.
Right, okay. All right,
Hopefully that gives a little more clarity.
all right, so just for clarification, the position of the driveway is necessitating the push over to the north side.
That's correct.
Okay, and so to me, that's kind of the rub right there. If we go through all these, the unnecessary hardship, the strict application, the hardship from the conditions that are peculiar to the property. The hardship did not result from your actions. Variance is consistent with the spirit and purpose and intent of the ordinance so that the public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Does anybody have any comment on this? Again, we're talking about the north side variance from 15 feet to 5 feet. And the south side. Oh, I didn't realize it was on the south side as well.
No,
No, we're talking about side.
that's not part of it.
I think we should just consider them together. Does anybody-
Yeah, they're both side setbacks.
They're side
I think
setbacks.
it'll be confusing if we don't
I
consider
agree.
them together.
Does anybody have any discussion about that? Feelings for or against?
About combining them, is that what you're talking about?
About any of these conditions on the side setbacks?
Okay.
No discussion on that? Then can I have a motion to vote? Or, I'm sorry, Kayla?
A and E for me, I got B, C, D, and F for the side setbacks.
Okay.
Would you guys just reiterate your,
Number A says, unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property. So I see that he meets that criteria.
and then E?
And then E, the variance requested is the minimum variance that will make possible the requested use of the land, building, or structure.
I agree that it is because of the buildability of this house. The footprint
Of this
can't be
particular
moved.
house.
And the driveway.
The driveway, that is the key right there. The driveway is pushing it over. Question is, if it was a different type of house, if it was a different build, would the driveway push it over?
Yes,
You believe it would?
I believe it would. How long is that driveway, Todd? Do you know from Appalachian down to your pad? Not to the garage, but to the pad?
I want to say 50-ish.
Yeah, because it's having to run over to the adjoining lot just peripherally. And that's because you can't make it. You
Can't go straight
make it any
down.
Shorter.
All right.
Shorter makes it too steep.
Okay. All right, then, do I have a motion to vote on the acceptance of the side variances from 5 to 10, from 15 to 5 feet? Do I have a motion? On the north side, excuse me,
So we're doing one at a time.
and the south side as well, I think.
10.
15 feet to 10, thank you. Do I have a motion to vote? Would we like to vote? Someone must make a motion to vote.
I'm just waiting on David.
Make a motion that we vote on the,
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we'll go ahead and vote. All of those in favor of allowing variances on the north and south side to be reduced, vote aye.
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 All against? The motion is carried. The variance is
Granted.
granted. We now have to talk about the driveway.
We've already been talking about that.
We've been talking about the driveway the whole time. Again, that to me seems to be the easiest. Again, we're under discussion now. That to me seems to be the easiest thing to understand. Kayla, you were talking about the hillside development. I don't see how you could possibly do a driveway unless you did it the way you have stated. Does anybody have any feeling on that?
I
See
agree.
any other way.
All right. No more discussion? Do I have a motion to vote on granting the variance for the driveway? Do I have a motion to vote?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So all those in favor of granting a variance for the driveway for Oklahoma, off of Oklahoma, say aye.
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 All against, say nay. The motion is carried. The variance has been granted. You have met all of the requirements.
Go build your house.
Go build your house.
No,
Wait,
you're going to
just-
come to me
No.
first.
No, go to
What
the-
about, are we not supposed to, I mean, we voted it on separate things.
voted
Are
on
we not supposed to use this motion right here?
You guys voted on all 6 of them. On all
Okay.
6 facts for each one, I think you're okay.
We went
Yeah.
through our discussions on all. six of
Good.
those.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so the motion is passed.
I will be in touch with you guys.
All right. So, okay, well, that moves that one on. We are, excuse me. Eleanor? Yes.
Would you excuse Martha?
Oh, yes, Martha. Thank you for
Thank you,
coming.
Martha.
All right, so now, let's see. 10, yes.
Can we maybe?
You want to take a 5-minute break?
Yeah, let's take a
Let's take a 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Thanks you for coming, Martha. I can't, yeah, I know, this was. That's right, okay. Just a second. Pull my stuff together.
So we got enough to rule on this? Okay, good. That's what I wanted to find out before we even got started.
610,
This is the house at the end of the road, right?
okay.
The house is more than 20 feet. I understand, but
There is my
It's a
rest of
two-story
my
house.
stuff. Here. 8,
with a nice front porch that I'm jealous of.
there we go. 3, 2, okay, so I need 3, 4, 5,
Although I have a screen porch overlooking
6,
the valley.
7, 8, okay, all right, got it.
All right,
All right,
let's go.
right, ready, back online. So we're going to move on to the second part of the agenda tonight, which is the evidentiary hearing for SUP-2023-01. This is request for a special use permit to allow a detached garage accessory building to be placed in the front of a single-family dwelling unit submitted by Dana Bobilia, pardon me, with Harrison Homes on behalf of the property owners Theodore and Susan, come on, Morozes, thank you, and Frank and Margaret DiFilippio.
Name challenge.
Golly, y'all are really DiFilippo, thank you. On property in the R1 zoning district located on Oak Lane, approximately 450 feet west of Oak Lane's intersection with Louisiana Road, described as PIN number 071066814100000 within the town of Montreat. The suggested motion is to grant with conditions or deny the SUP 2023-01. So all persons who wish to speak and testify in the case, please come forward and get sworn in by our lovely Angie.
All right. Do y'all swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay.
And as with the last case, when you guys come up to the mic, just state your name and address and Dana, your involvement.
Again, are there any, would you like to go through the conflicts?
I would appreciate it.
Please, go right ahead.
As advised by town council. All right. Have any of you discussed with any other member of the Board of Adjustment the property, the project, the application, the applicant, or any opposition?
No.
Okay. Do any of you have a fixed opinion prior to hearing the special use permit that's not susceptible to change?
No.
No? Okay. Other than jealousy. Have any of you had any ex parte communications with any party to this matter?
No.
No? Okay.
All right, I now.
I'm
open-
not done yet.
No, I'm sorry, you're not done.
I'm not done.
Keep
This is
going.
like 4 pages. Do any of you have any close familial relationships with the applicant or opposition?
No.
No? Do you have any business relationships with the applicant or opposition?
No.
No.
Do you have any financial interest in the outcome of the special use permit application or the hearing? No. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ready? All right, I now open the evidentiary hearing on this matter and ask for testimony from the zoning administrator.
Thank you. Josh. Fancy. All right, for the record, my name's Kayla DiChristina, and I am the zoning administrator for the town of Montreat. I ask permission from the board to enter into the record my staff report, exhibits, presentation, and the applicant's materials. Okay. All right, this is special use permit request SUP 2023-01 for PIN number 071066814100000. Next slide, please. All right, the subject property is outlined on the screen in red before you. It's located at 157 Oak Lane, which is at the very end of Oak Lane. I'm going to be honest, I can't pronounce the property owners' names. I'm going to try. Theodore and Susan Morozes and Frank and Margaret De Filippo. The property, yeah, the property is, it's in the record. The property is 0.48 acres. It's currently zoned R1 and it is vacant, but it has an approved single-family dwelling under construction. Next slide, please. This map shows the zoning of the subject property with the surrounding area. Again, the subject property is zoned R1 and it's currently vacant with a single-family dwelling approved for and under construction. To the north and west are other properties zoned R1 with existing single-family dwellings. To the south and east are properties zoned R1 and R2 also containing single-family dwellings. Next slide, please. So the applicant is Dana Bobila with Harrison Homes on behalf of the property owners. The request is for a special use permit to allow a 907 square foot detached garage, which is considered an accessory building per the zoning ordinance, with a final height taller than 10 feet to be constructed in the front yard of a residentially zoned property. Next slide, please. I'll move into staff findings, and this explains a little bit more about the request. So garages constructed in the front yards of residentially zoned districts require a special use permit per section 606.2 and Article 5 of the zoning ordinance. Additionally, accessory buildings larger than 600 square feet or exceeding 10 feet of a final height require a special use permit per section 606.13. So this application hit multiple requirements for a special use permit, hence why I had them put it all under one permit. This is not a variance request. The ordinance explicitly states if you exceed this amount, you have to get a special use permit. So the single family dwelling that's under construction on the subject property received their zoning permit in October of last year, and they also have a building permit. The single family dwellings are permitted by right in the R1 zoning district. So the special use permit involves an examination of the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan was adopted 2 weeks ago. And so I've added a vision that may be relevant to this application from the plan. Next slide, please. All right, so this is the applicant's site plan, which shows the proposed accessory building. It's outlined in red. The applicant is proposing to meet all the required setbacks of the R1 zoning district. Next slide, please. Okay. So the single family dwelling requires 2 parking spaces based on the heated square footage, which the applicant is proposing to provide in the driveway that satisfies section 702.1 of the zoning ordinance. The proposed accessory building is required to provide an additional parking space. The accessory building will serve as a garage on the ground floor, so that'll have 2 parking spaces in it, and they're also providing an additional space in the new driveway area on the site. So their total will be 6 on-site, parking spaces, so that more than satisfies the parking requirement. Landscaping doesn't apply, and the applicant is not proposing to remove any trees or vegetation in the town's right-of-way. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the applicant's site plan, and it shows the proposed stormwater management on the site. For the single-family dwelling, the applicant proposed regenerative stormwater conveyance measures in the form of rock-lined swales, rock check dams, and expanded sediment pools with a rain garden and, I never say this word, weir outfall on the southeast and southern corners of the property. To address the new building, the applicant is proposing additional rock-lined swales. Due to the amount of disturbance on the site, the applicant will be required to submit a new sealed stormwater management plan with their application for this permit as part of their approval. As part of their development approvals, excuse me, not the special use. Next slide, please. All right, so detached garages on residentially zoned properties have to meet 5 special requirements as stated in section 606.2 of the zoning ordinance. Those are on the screen before you, and the applicant's narrative addresses each of these special requirements. Just as a note, section 606.21 requires the zoning administrator to make a discretionary decision. I felt that the applicant needed to provide justification directly to the board to address that specific piece of these special requirements. Next slide, please. All right. So as with the variance, the board has to find that the application meets the 6 findings of fact on the screen before you as required by section 310.6 of the zoning ordinance. In granting the approval, the Board of Adjustment can prescribe appropriate conditions and safeguards in conformity, bless you, with any of the town's land development ordinances. And once again, please use the template language in your staff packets when you make your motion. Thank you.
Any questions for the zoning administrator? No? Okay. Does the applicant want to provide testimony to the board?
Good evening. My name's Dana Bobilia. I live here in Black Mountain at 75 Manny Lane, Black Mountain 28711. I filled out the application representing Susan and her family, not knowing if any of them would be able to be in town to address you. We thank you for your time and your service to the community. We know it's extra, so thank you for that. We have enjoyed the process of working with Susan and her family. Margaret and Frank Margaret is Susan's sister, so the home and the lot development is a family endeavor. It's been really fun and enjoyable to work with Susan and her family through the design process, through the planning, the site planning. Jason, our site planner, is here to address any questions you might have related to stormwater or the site plan. The home that's currently under construction, we spent a lot of time designing that in an effort to blend with the aesthetic of Montreat, with the historical nature of a lot of the homes here. I don't know if any of you have been by the site to see the phase of construction that we're in or the elevations, but Susan and her family went to great extents. I remember a year and a half ago sitting in our office, she said, we want it to look like a Montreat home. So that was purposeful and hopefully has been accomplished through our efforts. And there's the garage is, it was always hopeful to be able to place a garage there at some point due to some extenuating family circumstances, a death in their family. The family gathering place in Georgia is no longer available. And so this truly is becoming the family hub for holidays and gatherings. And so the additional square footage above the garage is, it's not a rentable unit. It does not have a kitchen. It's just extra space for them to gather, for family to sleep if and when they're in town. The hope is that upon retirement, maybe they'll be moving there full time. And so the garage, of course, would be extremely helpful if that were to happen in the near future. We feel like the compliance with the setbacks has been accomplished. We're not asking for a variance to the front or side setbacks there. The unique feature of this lot is that it is at the end of Oak Lane. And so we understand the purpose of the ordinance, to limit garages being placed in the front yard, but this, in essence, is at the dead end. Nobody is traveling in front of the property. And so the uniqueness of that is what we feel should at least allow you to entertain our request. We do have other spaces on the property that we could place the garage, but they would increase our area of disturbance. They would require more trees to be cut down. They would be more costly in retaining walls and length of driveway. So this, for accessibility, for cost, And for disturbance to the natural topography is the best place to locate the garage. Thank you. And since Susan is here, she's happy to answer any questions. And Jason is here. If you have technical questions related to stormwater calculations or anything on the site plan.
Anybody on the board have any questions for this applicant? No? All right. Are there any members that want to, of the public that would like to provide testimony as proponents to this application? Nobody? Doesn't look like it. And it doesn't look like there's anybody that is an opponent that is here. All right. Let's see. Does the zoning administrator want to provide a closing statement?
Josh, can you pull up slide 10 of the PowerPoint, just so the board has their 6 findings of fact in front of them for the special use permit, because they are different. And again, I just remind the board that you are allowed to prescribe appropriate conditions and safeguards in conformity with any of the town's ordinances, and to use the template language in your packets. And if you guys want to do what you did last time and discuss the 6 of them and then make your motion, you can do that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This special use permit does not get into the water runoff and all of that, correct?
No.
It's only once it's complete and we have
So,
final.
yeah, so
Rating.
the special use permit just gives them the approval to start seeking their development permits. They can't come to me to pull a new zoning permit or stormwater permit until they get the special use permit.
Okay.
They're just, because I am the one who issued the zoning permit for the development, I do know that per the stormwater ordinance, this is just a little bit of background, if you exceed a certain amount of disturbance, you have to have your plans engineered. You have to have them sealed by licensed engineer, ordinance stipulates. This development exceeded that threshold, so they have already had to engineer their plans, which is a higher level of compliance. And now with this additional disturbance, they'll have to go back through that process again. So at this point, they have not done it, but if they intend to proceed with this development, they will be required to do so. Yeah.
And the only real issue we've got to decide is that this exceeds the 10-foot high.
Well, so that's part of the special use permit is those 3 elements. And when you're looking at these 6 findings of fact, whether or not you guys find that the location, the size, and the height satisfy these.
Okay. All right. All right. Would the applicant like to provide a closing statement?
Thank you. I believe a copy of the plans were included in your packet, but wanted you to know that the intention is for the exterior veneers, the aesthetic, the style of the garage to mimic that of the home. All of the exterior veneers would be similar to the home. All of our overhang soffits, windows, colors, everything. The intention is for it to be seamless with that of the new constructed home. So it's not going to vary greatly in aesthetic appeal.
Quick question, Dana, before you sit. You got a 2-story house, correct? That you're in?
I believe it would be considered a 1.5 story. It doesn't have a full second story.
What's the height?
The total height?
Ballpark, 40, 30?
I think it's right around
I
30.
can tell you, I have the plans.
Okay.
Just give me like 1 second and I can tell you how high it's going to be.
Either one.
The garage is less than the house. We
Yeah.
purposely,
I know. That's
purposely
kind of the
wanted to
point.
Yeah.
stagger that. So
Okay.
I believe the garage total to the peak of the roof is somewhere in the 21 to 22 foot range.
Okay.
And that's from.
And that'll have an accessory room. I won't call it a bedroom because it's not going to be finished, or will it be?
It will be
will be
finished, yes, in terms of electrical sheetrock flooring, but it will not have a kitchen facility.
It will have a
No.
bathroom, but not a
It will
kitchen.
have a bathroom.
It will have plumbing then.
It will. Yes, sir.
Okay.
The definition of of what an accessory dwelling unit is, the applicant and I discussed at length, and it was determined they did not meet an accessory dwelling unit. So your approval is for an accessory structure. Should they want to construct an accessory dwelling unit, convert that to an accessory dwelling unit, they would need to come back to the board.
The house is roughly 29 feet tall, and the garage is about 22.
I wasn't concerned about the height of the garage so much because I've seen your house. I love your house.
Mike.
Take the
Mike.
mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not loud enough, am I? Oh, well, not here to defend himself, but yes. No, my concern was not so much the height of the garage, but how tall the house was in perspective. They're going to be balanced. I mean, and to your point, it's at the end of the road. You know, the only thing is, will someone have a hissy fit over seeing cars straight at the end of the road in the garage? But you got to park somewhere.
One of the special requirements is that the garage door remain closed. It's something is in the special requirement for garages in the front yard is that they have to remain closed.
I believe it has to do with if you're vacant from the property for more than 24
Something.
hours, the garage door needs to remain closed.
Yeah, it's very specific about how you handle the garage door.
Yeah. Don't
Well,
want to have
I
bear
think,
habitat.
the bears cause you to close
Let's-
your
I think
garage
you'd want
doors.
to.
If you don't want a bear in there, you're going to close it all the
Right.
time.
Absolutely.
Let's get into the discussion
Yeah.
on this. So
There you go.
you're finished
Thank
with
you for
your.
your
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all know it's the garage doors shall be kept closed when the house is unoccupied for more than a day. That's section 606.24.
All right.
All right.
Noted.
If there's no additional questions, I declare the evidentiary hearing closed and we'll begin deliberations.
minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we have a question?
Did you want to present
want-
something?
But go ahead.
Just state your name, address, and involvement with the property.
Good evening. Am I close enough?
Yes.
My name is Jason Gillen. I'm a registered landscape architect in the state of North Carolina. My address is 10D South Main Street in Weaverville. We are the firm that prepared the original site grade and erosion control stormwater plans for the house. And we always had a placeholder for this garage, but didn't pursue it initially. And then the factors that Dana brought to our attention, then that's why we're here today. We have updated those site plans. I think there was a snippet that Kayla shared with you, and we have updated the storm calculations. So everything works in order from our perspective. Of course, we'll go back to her to formalize that review. And I did also wanted to add that we're staying within the setbacks. And if you look at the new elevations of the house, with the house being higher than the garage, you know, it looks from the front facade that it's part of the original intent of the structure. So there's only a little separation off the front steps to the garage. So I just wanted to add that comment as well. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? So I now will now get to the discussion part. Begin deliberations. I have the special use permit application in front of me. We'll go through all of the requirements here. The first requirement is that the use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare if located where proposed and developed according to the plan as submitted and approved. I don't see how that is applicable. I mean, I don't think there's an end of the road. There's no through traffic. So I see that they meet that issue. Harrington?
Just for clarification, I think they're on the corner of
There's
Oak
the end of
and
It's a dead end.
It's dead end.
the dead end of,
It
okay,
goes right into their garage almost.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. The second part is that the use meets or will meet all the required and applicable development standards and conditions of the town of Montreat, including without limitation, all development standards, conditions, and requirements related to utilities, parking, access, and stormwater drainage, and the applicable regulations of the zoning district in which it's located, except as such regulations may for each case be modified by the Board of Adjustment. I mean, I think Kayla just went through, they're meeting all the parking requirements, the stormwater runoff requirements. It is not a dwelling, it is a structure. So it is not a separate apartment. If so, it would have to go back through that. So it meets that requirement. The third requirement is that the use will not substantially diminish and impair the value of any property, any portion of which is located within 250 feet of the boundary or the parcel in which the use will be located. I think it's very attractive. I think it will actually increase the value of the properties around. Anybody have any feeling on that? No? All right, number 4. The location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan as submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property for the purposes already permitted within the area in which it is located. Looks like it's in harmony with me. It looks like it's in harmony with the house that's being built.
Oh.
Any issue? Nobody has any issue with that? All right. Continuing on, that the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan as submitted and approved, will be in general conformity with the adopted policies and plans, including the comprehensive plan of the town of Montreat. Our zoning administrator has already looked at the comprehensive plan and has recommended that it does. Complies.
And I helped write it, and I would say that it complies.
Excellent. And then the final one is the adequate measures have been taken or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize congestion in the public streets. It's the end of the lane. I don't think that it's going to have a problem with that.
Block party.
Nobody has any problem with that? All right. So if at this point, I'm moving that the board will approve the written order for VA. No, I gotta have a motion.
Motion.
Sorry.
On the wrong case.
Oh, I'm on the wrong one. I'm on the wrong page. Sorry.
Special use permit.
Special use permit. Thank you.
Grant with condition.
Page 5. No, I'm sorry. All right, still got I've got it paid. No, that's the wrong one.
Page
2.
6.
Page 5.
Okay, sorry.
Oh.
I got a script
Oh,
because
well.
this is, yeah. Okay, so,
Go to therefore.
okay, therefore, the board finds that the 6 findings of fact required for the special use permit satisfactory and approves SUP 2023-01 to grant a special use permit to allow a detached garage accessory building to be placed in the front yard of a single-family dwelling unit submitted by Mr. Bobelia? Yeah, I got it. All right.
Ding, 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 ding.
Okay. All right, so do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
So move.
All right, and your
Second.
second. All right, all in favor? Sorry,
Aye.
Who made the motion?
Marty did.
And
And I did
David
second.
seconded it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion is passed. Congratulations.
well, not yet. They still have to go back through me.
I know, but our,
Wow.
yes, conditions, we have granted you that. All right, so that concludes that part of the agenda.
We have one item left. You guys are welcome to go, and
Yes.
I will be in touch, or you guys can wait. It's up to you. It doesn't. Yeah, I'll be in touch with y'all. Thank you. And thank you for your patience.
7. All right. 8. Thank you. We just have to do something real quick and we'll be
New
gone.
neighbor.
Okay. Good Lord.
They all gone.
No, we've got one more.
So what do we got left?
We've got to
The
approve It's just the new business?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, the new business, it is the acceptance of the signage? No?
No, we
Okay.
already did that.
No new
It's been,
business.
it's been a long night.
Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Nope, not yet.
She's got more business.
No, we're not done.
All right,
All right.
trying to move this along.
So this is just, I wanted to check in with you guys and ask about, last year we had done some training. We had gone over the 160D changes. We had done an overview of the responsibilities of this board, and then did a deep dive into just some of the questions that y'all had. We talked about conflicts of interest, ex parte communication, due process, that sort of thing. So my first question is, for the members that are here, are y'all interested in doing that again?
Like it's a refresher.
As a refresher, we can do deep dive topics again. Since, I feel like the composition of the board, at least, I think there's one member who's maybe a little bit newer. We could spend more time on deep dive topics. Maybe we could do some like scenarios or something. I just want you guys to feel, prepared when we have these hearings. And I shared this with Eleanor and Arrington. That was the variance that y'all heard tonight was the most complicated variance I've ever had. So good job. But I want you guys to continue to feel prepared. So if you are interested in training like we had last fall, let me know.
I would.
Yeah,
I think I would too.
you would.
'Cause I didn't get it last fall because I was in the midst of crisis,
Yeah. Okay.
so.
All right. Well, why don't I'll send out like a doodle poll or something, and we'll look at something. The other part of this is that we do have the written order from the attorney. It is for the special use permit for the lodge. It's still in the appeal period, so nothing is final. But I am anticipating, and I have asked for feedback from that case and how it affects this board. Even if we don't do a training on, procedures like we did last fall, I would like to get together and kind of discuss, once I have some guidance, if there is anything that we need to be aware of as this board. For example, like bringing in my crazy conflict of interest sheet.
Can I just cut to the chase? Well, does everyone here know, can we discuss the appeal or not?
I wouldn't.
Okay,
No.
all right,
I wouldn't.
okay.
If you guys are concerned or have questions, I would approach the town manager.
Okay, so I basically think what we're trying to do is prevent in the future any unintended appearance that may lead to another situation that we found ourselves in.
What I take from this, and this is just in general, just as a planner, is court cases, case law, things like that give us an opportunity to learn and evolve. And I want to take this as that opportunity to make us, a better, stronger board, more effective.
I think it's very important.
Yeah. So I would like to, even if we don't do the training like we did last fall, which it sounds like we'd like to do, I'd like to build that into it. If there are lessons that can be learned
I
from it,
absolutely think
from
that's-
town's council, I'd like to bring that to us.
Good. I'd like that.
Okay. All right. So I'll send a doodle poll out and we'll look at some dates. I'm not anticipating it for at least another couple months.
Okay.
So
January's a good time.
yeah, I'll bring candy again. You weren't there, Eleanor. I brought
was not
candy.
there. Yeah,
I brought candy for everybody.
I'll be there. All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. Meeting adjourned. Here, yeah, we did.
It's fine. It's fine. Martha took my packets.
Oh, she did, okay.